We're up to page 107. We were up to Halacha 23. We were discussing the laws of Ben Hashmashot. So we said Ben Hashmashot is twilight, and that's between sunset and the emergence of the 3 stars. It's Ben Hashmashot, Halacha 23. Ben Hashmashot is considered a doubt whether it's truly day or night. Nevertheless, not only are melachot that are biblically prohibited are prohibited at this time, even rabbinic prohibitions, rabbinic melachot, are also prohibited this time. So therefore, the Gemara, look at the note over here. The Gemara in the Shabbat 34b says, the Gemara says that when one medium star is visible in the sky because it's dark, then it's considered daytime. When there are 2 stars, it's considered Ben Hashmashot, the twilight time. When there's 3 stars visible, it's considered nighttime. However, you cannot rely on this with your eyesight. The Halacha Brura says that not everyone's eyesight is the same. And also, the Gemara says medium-sized stars, not small stars, not big stars. We don't know what medium-sized stars, not everyone's trained in what medium-sized stars are. So therefore, people should not rely on looking up in the sky and looking for 3 stars to see if Shabbat is over. A person shouldn't do that. But the point is that there's a concept of twilight time, not day, not night. Okay, 24. Even though rabbinical prohibitions apply during Ben Hashmashot, there are certain leniencies during Ben Hashmashot. For example, you're allowed to put a towel on top of a pot that has food that is already fully cooked in order for it to retain its heat. The Chachamim, they only prohibited atmana when you put a towel on top, is only when it's Shabbat literally. But when it's Ben Hashmashot, then they were still lenient. Okay, 25. Performing rabbinical level melachot during Ben Hashmashot for the sake of a mitzvah is permitted during Ben Hashmashot. For example, a person forgot to separate Truma and Masrot, he only remembered during Ben Hashmashot, he's allowed to do it. 26. Hafrashat chala. Let's say a lady forgot to do hafrashat chala, and she only remembered during Ben Hashmashot. So it's not Shabbat night yet, so she can do it if she forgot to do so beforehand. Even a woman who has already accepted Shabbat upon herself, when she lit the Shabbat candles, she may still do hafrashat chala with a bracha during Ben Hashmashot. 27. Tivilat kelim may be performed during Ben Hashmashot. Bracha may even be recited. 28. It is permitted to ask a non-Jew to do a biblically prohibited melacha for you on your behalf during Ben Hashmashot if one needs the melacha done for a mitzvah or an extreme need, such as substantial financial loss. We'll talk about this more when we go to the laws of talking to goyim, telling goyim to do melacha for you. Let's say you forgot to plug in the plata, let's say. So usually you're never allowed to ask the goy to plug in the plata, right, on Shabbat. But here it's an extreme need. I don't have food for Shabbat, so it's Ben Hashmashot. So technically, telling a goy to do melacha is permitted at that time because it's not 100% Shabbat yet. It's only out of doubt that it's Shabbat. So therefore, the Chachamim were more lenient with their laws during Ben Hashmashot. Or let's say there's no light in my dining room. The timer turned it off for whatever reason. It's still Ben Hashmashot. I want to ask the goy to turn on the light for my dining room. I won't be able to eat in there otherwise. So that's another mitzvah need. That's another situation where during Ben Hashmashot, we're lenient with telling goyim to do melacha. 29. According to Shulchan Aruch 261:4, after reciting Baruch Hu or saying Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat, you accept upon yourself Shabbat. Even you cannot do melacha any longer, even if it's still daytime. According to the Arizal, a person accepts Shabbat during the words Boi Kala at the end of Lecha Dodi. So it's better to be strict like the Arizal and accept Shabbat by Lecha Dodi. Fine. 30. If most people in the city that one is residing in, and for Shabbat have already accepted Shabbat, you must accept Shabbat along with them. Even if you don't want to accept Shabbat yet. Even if you're not in shul. Once the shul of the community, it does Baruch Hu and accept Shabbat, everyone in the community has to accept Shabbat. However, if there's more than one synagogue in the city, and each synagogue accepts Shabbat different time, so then you don't have to accept Shabbat with that one shul who accepted Shabbat. Even if most of the city will be accepting Shabbat early, since there's multiple synagogues, multiple congregations, so you're not obligated. 31. Even if there's only one synagogue in the city, but most of the Jews do not attend the synagogue on Friday night because it's not walking distance, then one does not have to accept Shabbat when the minyan in the synagogue accepts Shabbat. Okay, good. 32. Even if one regularly prays in a specific synagogue and is a member there, he does not have to accept Shabbat at the time that the synagogue does. As long as there's other synagogues in the city that pray Shabbat at a later time. So let's say this shul always accept Shabbat early, and you usually pray here. As long as there's another minyan and another shul that accepts Shabbat a little bit later, so you have room to be lenient to also accept Shabbat later. 33, in a situation where one must accept Shabbat along with the congregation in the city due to the communal acceptance, one may still pray mincha even though he's not allowed to do any more melacha. However, once you answer Baruch Hu 34, you may no longer pray mincha. Therefore, if one hears a congregation saying Baruch Hu, you should not answer with them if you still need to pray mincha. If you already answer Baruch Hu, then you need to say Amidah of Arvi twice. 35. Someone who accepted Shabbat early, you're allowed to answer Kedusha or Brachot of Mincha that is said in a different minyan that did not accept Shabbat. However, preferably, you should not be counted for that minyan of Mincha, but technically, you have what to rely on. Okay, 36. Moving on to the laws of Kabbalat Shabbat. 36. Many communities have the custom to say Shir HaShirim Erev Shabbat before Kabbalat Shabbat. It can also be recited before Mincha, as long as you don't miss the proper time for Mincha. If one has a choice, either to say Shir HaShirim or attend a Shiur, it's better to hear a Shiur than to say Shir HaShirim. So let's see, 49. The Kaf HaChaim says that you should say Shir HaShirim on Shabbat. The Petach Dvir says that why do we have a custom saying Shir HaShirim Erev Shabbat? Is because in Shir HaShirim it refers to Yetziat Mitzrayim, the creation, Olam Haba. All these things are related to Shabbat, all these ideas. Therefore, on Shabbat, we want to remember these ideas, we say Shir HaShirim. Also, Shir HaShirim is a very, very holy and sacred sefer. It's very hard to understand. So the holiest day of the week is when we want to say the sefer and read the sefer and study the sefer. So therefore, we say Shir HaShirim. That's also Zgula, to be saved from the fires of Gehenom, to say Shir HaShirim Erev Shabbat. Okay, good. Interestingly, there's a custom. If a person wasn't able to say Shir HaShirim, if you say 4 psukim that starts with the letters Yud, Ayin, Kuf, Bet, Yaakov, so then they say you also accomplished the same thing if you didn't have time to say Shir HaShirim. Okay, fine. 37. It's proper to say Kabbalat Shabbat while it's still daytime. At the very least, you should say Boi Kala before Shkia. That way, you accept Shabbat and you add to the Tosefet Shabbat. You add some extra time to the Shabbat, because the Arizal says during Lecha Dodi is when you accept Shabbat. 38. It is praiseworthy to recite Kabbalat Shabbat along with the minyan of people. Meaning to say, you shouldn't do Kabbalat Shabbat by yourself. You should do it with the minyan. But technically, it doesn't need a minyan. 39. It is customary to say Mizmor le David Havu la Hashem before Lecha Dodi. And afterwards, after Lecha Dodi, you should say Lecha Dodi and you say Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat and Hashem Malach. That's the proper order of the Kabbalat Shabbat. Now, some communities have a custom, not 40. Some communities of both Sfaradim and Ashkenazim, they begin Kabbalat Shabbat with Teilim, like Lechor Anana, and so on and so forth, chapters 95 through 100. Some communities also add Ana Bekoach. So, okay, that's all customs, but there's a reason behind all these customs. 41, when Yom Kippur is Shabbat, the regular Kabbalat Shabbat is skipped, and we only say Mizmor Shir the Yom HaShabbat. 42, it is customary to recite the entire Kabbalat Shabbat, even when it's Yom Tov, as well as Mizmor of the Chag. 43, interesting halacha. According to the Arizal, you're supposed to say Kabbalat Shabbat outside in a field. Some people have a custom to go into the courtyard of the synagogue, but most communities do not have this custom. We just say Kabbalat Shabbat in the synagogue. But Arizal says you have to go and greet the queen of Shabbat, Shabbat Malketa, in the field, and you have to go to her and not that she comes to you. 44, it is customary among Ashkenazim for the Chazan to wear talit during Kabbalat Shabbat. Sfaradim don't have this custom. Temanim have the custom wearing talit during Tefillah of Kabbalat Shabbat Friday night. Okay, we'll finish over here. 45, Lecha Dodi. It is customary, both Ashkenazim and Sfaradim, to say the song of Lecha Dodi Friday night as part of Kabbalat Shabbat. 61, note, this song was created by Rosh Shlomo Alkabetz, a great Mekubal who lived in the city of Tzfat at the time of the Arizal, and Rav Moshe Cordovero. Now, the Ben Ish Chai says that this song was never mentioned by the Arizal, and technically there's no requirement to say this song in Kabbalat Shabbat, but it just became a custom that was accepted by everybody. However, the line Boi Kala actually comes from the Gemara, so therefore that's a good part about it. There are some who say that in Yeshivat Beit El they used to skip this song and they used to only say Boi Kala, but it's possible that the Mekubalim used to say Boi Kala, and it's a beautiful song that everyone feels that Shabbat is not Shabbat if you don't sing L'chadoti. So everybody accept upon themselves to sing it. But the halachically speaking, the most important part is the boi kala, and we're going to see you're going to have to turn around and face the west when you say boi kala, what the custom is. But the point is, when you say boi kala, you actually have to have in mind to accept Shabbat, and that's why it's preferable to say the Kabbalat Shabbat before sunset. That way you accept Shabbat early. Okay, everybody, have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.